leader in your organization and community. I'm Emily Chiwa, and with me, as usual, is Georgia Donaldson.
Hi everyone, how you doing?
Hi, Georgia. We are leadership coaches and hosts of this show. And to speak to us on the power of cultural intelligence on leadership, we have with us Loren Rosario Maldonado. Lauren, did I say your name right?
You said it perfectly. Thank you, Emily. Thank you and Georgia for having me on your show. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Too. So I love Lauren how you introduced yourself. So I'm gonna just have Lauren do that, and then we'll dive right into our topic for the day.
Of course, I'm a culturist and I'm a rebel with a cause on a mission to motivate, activate, and elevate leaders across the globe through the power of cultural intelligence.
Wow.
Hey, that was cool. Emily, we
So
have to get one like that for ourselves, right?
we definitely do. We definitely do. We're gonna call Lauren and work on this
Yeah,
together.
Lauren will help us with that.
So rebel with a cause,
Mhm,
cultural. What is it?
mhm.
Cultural. Say the last
Cultural
one.
intelligence.
Cultural
Mhm.
intelligence. So Lauren, how about if you get us started? In terms of what is cultural intelligence? Like that's a new way of putting culture
Mhm.
in in scope. So please help us help us
Yes,
help
yes,
us
yes,
understand.
yes. Of course, everyone's heard of emotional intelligence. I like to
Mhm.
say that that is the trending twin of the two.
Mhm.
Cultural intelligence is a tool that helps us navigate different situations and different contexts through four capabilities. That's CQ drive, CQ knowledge, CQ strategy, but most important of all, CQ action. And
Mhm.
why it's the geeky one of the symbiotic Siamese twins that I like to call emotional intelligence and cultural intelligence is because emotional intelligence doesn't help you detect when someone's cultural nuances prevent them from understanding your verbal and nonverbal behavior.
Mm.
So one simple example is in American culture, we believe that when speaking, you should look at someone directly to their eyes, right? Look directly at them
Mhm.
because that shows respect to Americans. That shows that you are not only engaged and interested, but
Yeah.
that you are demonstrating respect to the other person. But in other cultures, that's actually offensive to do.
Yes.
Looking at someone directly to their face is offensive, especially with someone in authority, right?
Mhm.
And someone whose hierarchy level is above yours. It's disrespectful and comes across as rude sometimes.
Mhm.
From a neurodivergence perspective, there are individuals who are unable to look at you directly in your face. And so someone may misconstrue that as disrespect in a culture where it is expected. So, cultural intelligence helps you understand and helps you gain the knowledge of this nuance while adapting to it from a place of understanding as opposed to a place of emphasizing the difference. And this is why I personally believe that cultural intelligence is so powerful in
Mhm.
leadership and beyond.
Right. So Lauren, is cultural intelligence and social intelligence sisters or their cousins or one and same? Talk to us about that distinction.
Great question. They are not the same
Mhm.
because, again, our social know how,
Mhm.
our social cues are really driven by our culture,
Mhm.
right? We understand, for example, we may come from families who speak very passionately. And so our social cue is to engage
Yeah.
passionately, to really have this discourse. But to others, that may look like an incessant need to just argue and banter back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And may
Mhm.
be seen as disrespectful and rude. And
Mhm.
so, from a social intelligence perspective, it is framed by the social environment in which you were raised and
Okay.
in which you were in which your norms, your behaviors, your expectations of the society around you were shaped.
Right.
Now, as we live life, as we navigate life, these social cues begin to morph into a more multidimensional approach. And this is where the multinational aspect comes into play. You have people that have lived abroad, but you have
Yes.
people who also work with others in other countries throughout the day without leaving their backyard.
And that's you. That was you.
And that was me. And
Mm-hmm.
so here I am, a head of global HR. And of course, to me, service has always been part of my moral code.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came across cultural intelligence, I realized that I was falling short with serving others. I
Okay.
was falling short in understanding these cues and understanding how my cultural influences were getting in the way of
Mm-hmm.
me serving others in the way that they needed
Right.
from me. And
Right.
that is the shift that makes cultural intelligence that much more powerful if you choose to
Mm-hmm.
use it, right?
Right.
Because we can gain knowledge, but if we don't use the knowledge, if we don't
Mm-hmm.
act on it, it just stays here and it becomes a
Right.
rocking chair, right? It
Right.
moves and moves and doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, Lauren, talk to me as a leader. I am sitting in an organization as a leader, as an executive, or I may be the CEO, but I see no need to talk about this mumbo jumbo of cultural intelligence. How would you convince me that it's important for me in my role as a leader?
Great question, because a lot of times I put myself in those same shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I needed it, right? I'm educated. I come from a service mentality. I believe in not only serving others, but the pinnacle of a human resources role
Mm-hmm.
is the person having everything they need in the workplace to succeed. Yes, KPIs are important, but at the end of the day, you're doing that through people.
Yeah.
And so why you need cultural intelligence? A, it's researched and predictable. It
Mm-hmm.
predicts your ability to navigate different contexts successfully. And what
Okay.
does that translate to from a business perspective? Increased engagement. We know that it's down worldwide. We now
Mm-hmm.
have 5 to 6 generations in the workplace who are
Yep.
all different. And so cultural intelligence helps you not only adapt to those differences, but actually take action in using your understanding to drive engagement. Performance is another important aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
Performance management, right? So why should a leader care if you really care about your leadership role and the impact that you have on
Mm-hmm.
the organization and the business results, then you care about cultural intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Emily, what do you think about this? Because we coach leaders from time to time. Have you had that challenge of any of the leaders saying that they think that they're not strong maybe on their social intelligence, their cultural intelligence? Do they even know about it?
I think it we usually talk more about the emotional intelligence pieces
Mhm.
when it comes to
Yes.
understanding behavior and understanding differences. I don't think that cultural intelligence is maybe a part of the repertoire, and maybe it
Mhm.
needs, as Lauren is saying, to be included in the vocabulary a bit so that we become a little more sensitive. Lauren, I mean, I heard you at first when you hear culture, you think different countries, and then Georgia brought in social, so we think,
Mhm.
the way we are socialized in terms of, different, whether you come from a Latino background or a Caribbean background or whatever, you'd have those kinds of norms. And then
Mhm.
you even spoke of ages. So now I'm a little bit confused, to be honest. Like, when I think culture, and then when people define culture, they talk about what is going on, like what we see in the organization, like the usual
Mhm.
culture of the organization. So
Yes.
I'm a little perplexed myself. I'm like, I'm hearing you, I'm hearing you. I'm like, okay. So tell me a little bit more, because I'm still a little, on the fence as to, I see there's benefit and value, but I'm still not sure about what exactly. Do you read me?
Yes, I completely understand. And I love this question because one of the biggest misconceptions is that culture has to do with race, national origin, or ethnicity. But it's more than that. If we really take a step back and understand what culture is, it is the shared way in which a certain group with shared beliefs and norms and attitudes behave.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to joke that I'm Mac culture and my husband is Microsoft culture. And I am all things Mac. I mean, my phone, my laptop, everything is Mac. If they would make, wires and stuff, everything is Mac. But my husband has a Samsung. He has a what I call a square laptop. It's a Microsoft operating system. He's everything square, right? Even the way the Apple is shaped, right, is round, and Microsoft is square. And so my belief, what does Apple represent? User friendliness, right? Cleanliness, clean. It's simple. It's not complex at all. It's meant for the mainstream user, whereas Microsoft is more for enterprise, and it has all these convoluted steps that you need to take to get the operating system working and to upgrade and all these plugins and blah blah blah. Two
Yeah.
different cultures, yet somehow we've managed to be married for 35 years. Don't ask me how. So
Maybe
that is
because
the
you have all of
essence.
that cultural intelligence.
When I finally understood, when I really immersed myself in cultural intelligence, I said, I finally understand my husband. I really understand you now, you know? And that's really what culture represents. I mentioned neurodivergence earlier. We do have a neurodivergent community that is growing as well.
Yes.
We have generational um, cultures, right? We've heard of the baby boomers and we've heard of the millennials and we've heard of those Zers that are now forcing us to think differently. And
Yes.
so these are all cultures that are coexisting in the workplace.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, we are being asked to elevate our ability to not just navigate these differences, but to really impact in spite of the differences. That it's not good or bad, it is just a different way of behaving in the workplace. And so
Yeah.
these preferences, they show up in the way we approach our work, the way we view our boss, the way we speak to our boss. If we have a boss who values hierarchy and we value uh, really democracy and mainstream equality, we are not necessarily going to relate very much with that boss. And we both need to stretch. So, from a leadership perspective, you don't need the title. You stretch as much as the title does with you. It starts with you. And so that's why it's so important. We have to understand that culture is much more than what you see. We are
Right.
all multidimensional. And as we evolve, we're going to become even more multidimensional.
Yeah. Lauren, as you spoke, and Emily, you spoke earlier, and I was thinking of culture in organizations. And I think of my time in banking. Banking has a totally different culture. And then I moved into manufacturing, a whole different culture. And as a leader, if you don't understand the culture in each one and learn how to navigate in each one, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
100%. And guess what? You have subcultures.
Yes.
Wow.
Because we
Yeah.
know that no matter what industry and what organizational culture you have microcultures. Finance will never behave like marketing. Please do not behave like marketing because then we'll have a problem,
Problem.
right? And so you have all these microcultures that coexist as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So Lauren,
Oh,
you worked in several different companies, and you have seen different cultures, and you have navigated that as an HR leader. Is there any story that stood out to you that you wanted to share with us? Because we're going to be wrapping soon. We'd love a story for you to share, and then you're going to give us a call to action.
Of course, I would
Yeah.
say the one experience that stands out the most for me was when I was my first leadership role in a global organization where we were in the US, operated in the US, but we had over 18 countries that we depended on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great experience because the majority of the countries were Latin American.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we were Hispanic or Latin here in the United States, it was the first time that I understood that within or experienced within Latin America, you still have different cultures. You
Different
still
cultures.
have differences. We may be speaking the same language, but even the language we speak is different in and of itself.
Yes.
And so one word could be offensive in another Latin American country, which
Yeah.
happened to me, by the way. So it was a great experience to understand how multidimensional we really are and
Mhm.
how much more rich that makes our experience,
Yes.
helping the employees understand what those differences meant and that everyone was proud of their background, no matter where they came from.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
a beautiful experience.
Ah, yes, I can relate. I know, even though I moved from an English-speaking country, Jamaica, to another
mhm.
English-speaking country, Trinidad, in the Caribbean, I thought, oh, easy peasy. There's hardly any difference. But there's certain words that I have used and I've gotten in trouble for using those words because they mean something totally different to Trinidad.
Totally different.
Would mean in Jamaica.
Totally different.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
But
good.
it's so rewarding.
It is. It is. And it can be so refreshing when you
Yes,
embrace it. When you embrace
yes,
it. Okay.
of course.
So,
That's the
so
key when you embrace it.
when you embrace
wasted.
it. So as we close out, what would you want to say to those persons who have been watching and listening?
Understand your history, understand your culture, where you come from, regardless where you are.
Mm-hmm.
When you really dig deep into your roots, it helps you look in the mirror differently. And it's
Mm-hmm.
only then that you can appreciate the differences in others.
Mm-hmm.
It first starts with you.
Yes, yes. And tell us the name of your book, Lauren, so that people will go out and look for your book and buy your book.
Of course, it's becoming the change, the power of cultural intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find it on Amazon. It's
Okay.
available there in ebook format or print.
Okay.
And reach out if you have any questions. I would love to hear what you think.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So Emily, over to you to wrap.
Well, Lauren, I just want to say thank you so much for this edifying, interesting conversation about cultural intelligence, a term that I will start to become more aware of now.
Yes.
And, I loved the call to action, understanding your roots. I
Yes.
think so much of what we go through in life can be supported by just doing that
Mm,
that work for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how we relate to one another. Well, relate to ourselves first of all, and then to one another. And as you said, somewhere along the path, that it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're working with people. So yes, we have AI and we have all of these tools, but we still must learn to work better with people to be more effective leaders. So thank you, Lauren. It has been great having you. Definitely look for that book.
Yes.
We'll put the link for it in the post when we post it. And yeah, thank you again for your time today. Wonderful.
Yes.
thank you so much. Thank
Good.
you
Great
and
seeing you
Georgia
again.
for having me
Yes.
today.
Our
Yes.
pleasure. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.